The Pittsburgh Steelers just got some very good news. We have some massive injury updates to go over today, and ahead of their biggest game of the year thus far against the Packers, we have some very good news, but also on the flip side, we have a devastating update surrounding one special teams player that has fans devastated. A lot to go over. You're going to want to stay tuned until the end of the video because we also have something at the end that's very intriguing and no one is talking about. But before we get into it all, ladies and gentlemen, a quick reminder, hit that subscribe button. About 67% of you who are watching right now aren't subscribed. You guys have an absolute beast of the support, but make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 3,000 subscribers and their bigger goal, of course, of 10,000. Folks, a lot to go over today. Now, obviously, the Steelers are preparing for their biggest game of the year against the Packers on Sunday Night Football this Sunday. And there's been a lot of talks about them trading for a wide receiver and them making a move. We'll take a step back here and talk about some big updates ahead of the game, which is now only just a few days away. And we're going to start with the bad news and then dive into some of the very, very good news that has just dropped. But let's start with this that dropped yesterday into this morning, and it has been confirmed now that Steelers captain undergoes knee surgery, and this is going to be sad. And of course, if you've been paying attention to the Steelers, you'll know who I'm talking about, but it is Miles Killebrew. Pittsburgh Steelers won't have their special teams ace available for the rest of the 2025-2026, or I guess to say 2025 NFL season after suffering a season-ending injury. Safety and special teams captain Miles Killebrew suffered a gruesome lower body injury, and then of course, we know that now, well, we don't know. Now it's official that he is going to miss the end of the rest of this year, and of course, potentially into next year. Because at the time of the injury, it looked pretty bad. Didn't want to, you never want to assume with injuries, but he is this team's glue guy. He's this team's leader, and he's been also one of the most impactful contributors on, of course, special teams. And of course, he's a valuable player, all these different things. More of a depth piece outside of special teams. But you can see here, even our coach, Danny Smith, loved Killebrew, loved his work ethic. We saw all offseason that, and from his teammates as well, that he was heavily liked in the locker room. He was praised, and he was elected as one of the team captains for 4 consecutive years, dating back to the 2022 season. So, a couple different things here. Obviously, devastating on the field product because he was fantastic, and at the end of the day, missing him for the rest of the year is going to hurt this team, but just got to hope that he's going to be okay for next season. But leadership-wise, devastating, and of course, on the special teams, I mean, we know the different roles that he has, and if you don't watch the Steelers, you obviously probably don't, but for us, it's going to be pretty rough there. Let me know down below what your thoughts are, and I guess let me know down below. Let's try to turn it into a positive thing. Your favorite Miles Killebrew moment of this season or just of his Steelers career. But again, this is the bad news. He's going to be out for, quite frankly, the rest of the year and potentially longer. But hopefully the surgery, I mean, it did go well. Hopefully he'll be able to rehab and get back there soon, and they'll have to take care of it in the depth chart. But a couple other things here, and there has been updates about a lot of different players. Now, I want to start with, we'll dive into some of the other guys later, but I want to start with Calvin Austin. So Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin recently spoke out and said that he is optimistic that Calvin Austin, of course dealing with a shoulder injury, will be able to play this Sunday against the Packers, and that was reported by Mike DeFabo. Austin has missed the last 2 games with a shoulder injury, but Tomlin noted that the wideout has made enough progress to be integrated into practice this week. So this is obviously fantastic news. Now, again, I've been covering on the channel a lot about their need for another wide receiver, and that was in lieu of course, the Calvin Austin injury. But I think whether or not Calvin Austin is, available, they're probably going to try to go out and get a wide receiver before that deadline in early November. But at the same time, we don't know yet the extent of his, practice participation. I'm sure we'll see that into tomorrow, into, of course, the weekend. But through 4 appearances this season, he's recorded 10 receptions for 139 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he is a pretty crucial part to this team, mainly because of the fact that, obviously we know what he can do. He's a speedster. Him and DK Metcalf complement each other pretty well here, but they're coming off a brutal loss against the Bengals without those guys, specifically, of course, on the side of Calvin Austin. But in the same vein, he's missed some time now to the point where you look at some of the depth charts in the wide receiver room. Roman Wilson got a lot of looks last year, but again, he's kind of fallen out of favor, or last game and last season, but he's fallen out of favor with Mike Tomlin. And that's at a point now where, and obviously, I said last season, I think he played 1 game last season. Roman Wilson didn't really get any targets, but for the start of this year, there was some hype coming into it. I meant last training camp into this upcoming season. Some hype around Roman Wilson. Ultimately, didn't really translate yet. It's going to be DK Metcalf. It's going to be Calvin Austin. Those are going to be the players that at least look to step up as we approach the big game on Sunday. But for Roman Wilson, he actually came out himself and also spoke out and basically went ahead and said that he feels really good. He's going to do everything in his power to make himself available for the game against the Packers. And the Packers struggled against the Arizona Cardinals there the other night, last Sunday. And I think the Steelers, Again, a lot of doom and gloom. The defense looked really bad against the Bengals. They couldn't stop Joe Flacco. You're going up against a younger quarterback in Jordan Love, who once upon a time sat behind Aaron Rodgers. Of course, I covered that in yesterday's video. But you're going to need Calvin Austin's services. And until they upgrade at the wide receiving position, Calvin Austin's only 26 years old. We're talking about getting a young and up-and-coming, wide receiver. They're going to need to go ahead and get him back, which is obviously going to be crucial because, yes, they're missing Killebrew. They're going to be missing some other guys. Every team, right, is missing players at this point. But you're going to have some offensive firepower here, especially with Micah Parsons coming off of a great game against the Cardinals again. He's going to be putting a lot of pressure on Aaron Rodgers. Need a couple guys who can play very well, and especially with the wide receiving room. Once upon a time seen as okay, like fairly deep. Now it's basically just DK Metcalf, and Calvin Austin remains questionable, but at this point is most likely going to play here, and that's obviously very, very good news. So the good news is also here, you can see here a new report drop. Good timing for the team because it will give them 2 weeks to assess their team. Of course, this is after they missed the last week's game, but with nearly a full roster before the transfer deadline ends. Something else to keep in mind here is that having everybody healthy is going to be absolutely crucial. You can see here Mike Tomlin recently spoke out. He said 2 guys are watching very closely that will certainly be limited at the front part of the week, but may perk up and be included towards the latter part of the week are Calvin Austin, Jaylen Ramsey. Now, Jaylen Ramsey dealing with a hamstring injury. Calvin Austin, of course, dealing with a shoulder. Both have been highly aggressive from a rehab standpoint during the bye week, so I'm really encouraged by the potential of those guys, but we'll certainly take it day by day. Now, this is, of course, from before last week's game, but I wanted to bring this up because, of course, we know Jaylen Ramsey played last week, so he's going to be good to go this week, but I wanted to bring this up because getting everybody back healthy is going to be absolutely crucial. Now, Jaylen Ramsey last week, Calvin Austin, this is Mike Tomlin's comments from right before the game last Sunday, which makes things very encouraging heading into this Sunday that he will be available. So let me know down below what your thoughts are. With everybody starting to get seemingly healthy here, you can see not many other injuries outside of a couple of the depth pieces and, of course, Killebrew as well, which is brutal, but that was kind of expected there. Let me know down below what your thoughts are. A quick thing before we wrap up as well. There was a recent post here talking about the impact of every Week 8 game on the Steelers playoff odds. So let's have a look at this before and ahead of the game on Sunday. You can see here we ran a bunch of Monte Carlo simulations. The current odds for the Steelers to make the playoffs is 58.8%, which seems a little low given the fact that they're, what their record is, 4-2. However, if you beat the Packers, that jumps to basically 70%, but if you lose, it's down to basically a 50-50 chance. And then the out-of-town scoreboard, of course, you want to hope that the Bears beat the Ravens. Obviously, it makes a ton of sense there. Bears beating the division opponent. And then, the Jets aren't going to beat the Bengals probably, but you can hope and pray, and then I'll bring it up by 3.9%. But I bring this up because the Steelers are still in a very good spot. You make an addition at the deadline. You have everybody basically back healthy. Of course, we saw Jaylen Ramsey come back last week. We're now going to see most likely Calvin Austin play this week. Everybody's optimistic about that. And then you head into the, of course, crucial trade deadline week where things are going to pick up very quickly. Make a couple of additions, and hopefully they'll be good despite the fact that the defense has been very underwhelming given the amount they're paying him. But let me know down below what your guys' thoughts are. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.